Okay. Thank you. I will do a sound check as well with everybody. Good evening. I am Pauline Proch and I am chair of the school committee, and welcome to tonight's meeting of June 15th, 2021. This is a meeting that is live in person, and I, for the record, am remoting in due to my geographic distance for tonight's meeting. May I have a motion, please, to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. May I have a second? Thank you.
Jen,
may I have your vote?
Aye.
Thank you. I think there is a delay here. Steve, did you say aye? I didn't hear you, sorry.
I didn't hear you ask. I'm glad you did. Aye.
Thank you. Jen?
Aye.
And thank you, and Zona. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Everyone is present and can hear me. I would like to go straight to public comment, please. Is there anybody in the audience that?
Does not appear to be so, Pauline.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Moving on, I'd like to invite Dr. Beth Hallett, please, to join us for her report.
Good evening. I'll start off with a quick update on MCAS. All of our schools wrapped up MCAS testing last week, with most of our cohort D students coming into the schools for testing. For those who were unable in cohort D, they did take the remote version of MCAS, which did turn out to be quite a challenging feat for test administrators due to the need for consistent and constant attention of those who are on screen. We are very glad to have completed this testing period, and we'll be curious to see what the results show us. Due to the challenging nature of the last 18 months, we are not expecting to use MCAS results for anything more than guidance towards what children need to learn with regard to standards and skills, and what must be addressed next year. For 10th graders, that is a little different. We do expect the state to make significant changes in the expectations around proficiency. That, of course, is still to be determined. Thank you to the principals, assistant principals, test administrators, and tech staff who successfully made MCAS happen this year. In talking about end of year celebrations, as we near the end of the school year, we are thrilled to be able to enjoy some of the more traditional end of year celebrations, albeit in somewhat modified format. Pre-K will be celebrating their last day this Friday, June 18th. Kindergarten follows with their final day on Wednesday, June 23rd. And for first and second graders, a field day is planned to celebrate the last day of school for them. At NIS, there will be a summer celebration happening tomorrow, June 16th, with different outdoor stations and exciting activities like spin art, rope shapes, and relays. CPS will be holding outdoor field days for grades 6 and 7, and 8th graders will be doing Pod Olympics. On the last day of school, there will be the 8th grade promotion ceremony and a picnic on the fields outside afterwards. Our juniors at NHS will be celebrating their junior prom this Saturday at the Sconset Casino as well, and we wish them a safe and happy event. As for academic awards, we are very proud to announce that 45 students made up of juniors and seniors were recipients of a wide variety of academic awards. Congratulations to this wonderful group of young scholars who have proven to be dedicated and hardworking in their academic achievements. We are also very pleased to share that our graduating seniors received over $700,000 in scholarships. What an incredibly generous community that we have here in Nantucket. So impressive. A lovely baccalaureate service was held last Friday to honor the class of 2021 as they prepared to graduate the next week. There were readings, songs, stories, and a lot of wisdom imbued by the minister on the impending for the impending graduates. I do hope that they both enjoyed and cherished this special tradition. The first outdoor graduation took place after a short rain delay on Saturday, June 12th, and it was a huge success. Principal Vassal and Assistant Principal Sardellis did a fantastic job planning and executing a wonderful ceremony, including music, speeches, and Nat Philbrick delivering the keynote address to honor the class of 2021. Kudos to all of you and your planning team. I have received nothing but positive feedback, and like the car parade, I feel that a new tradition has been started a new tradition has been started that we will not be able to change. Since we have also some teachers graduating, so to speak, we will be honoring them at an ice cream social for all staff on Wednesday, June 23rd to celebrate those who are retiring and wish them well in their next life's adventure. The district leadership team is also saying goodbye to two crucial members, Kelly Cooney, Director of English Learner Services, and Chris Morey, Director of Athletics. Although Kelly is not with us this evening, I wanted to be sure and thank her for the tremendous work that she has done with our English learner population and with the department in the district. Thank you very much, Kelly. Coach Morey will be retiring on June 30th after serving the district as a varsity softball coach and athletic director for 12 years. Chris, we are sad to see you go, but we will never forget you. So to give a little update on hiring, we continue to make good progress on hiring with a few more teachers that have been secured, and we'll be joining the ranks for next year. There are still some outstanding positions, but I'm confident that we will be able to fill them soon. Like everyone knows, COVID has delayed everything, including people's career plans. So we are expecting that we will see some movement in the next coming days and weeks. So that's all, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Beth. I am going to just ask our school committee members if you do have comments or questions for Dr. Hallett, if you come on screen, and I will call upon you. Okay. Not seeing any comments or questions. Thank you very much, Dr. Hallett, for your update. I believe, as we heard earlier on, that Chris Murray is unable to join us tonight. Are you also presenting the athletic updates?
I'm going to interrupt and say that he is actually here today due to a canceled softball game. So we are very happy to have him here, and he will be providing the update himself.
Terrific, thank you. Well, I'd like to welcome Chris Morey, and I'm sad to say this will be for the last time.
Thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, indeed.
Just in starting, I'm gonna correct the boss over here on a couple things. It's actually, I've actually been the athletic director here for 13 years. And I'm not gonna even start to tell you how long I've been here as a softball coach. I am retiring as the athletic director. I'm probably gonna stick around and coach softball for at least one more year. In looking back at this past year, just like with everything else in the school system, athletics was constantly challenged with changes from day one right straight through the year. After having everything canceled last spring, we started off the fall with high hopes. We had all our kids registered and thought we were going to be able to go into interscholastic play. And unfortunately, that's when our metrics turned into bright red and everything had to be shut down. We did what we've done all along, which is to adapt, and we set up an intramural program. And that's basically what we've done throughout the course of the entire year. Every time there was a need to make a change or adapt to something, we worked together to make sure that that happened. I'm not going to run through every item that I've listed in the report that I put out. I think that there's a few highlights and points that I do want to mention. And as we talk about having to make to adapt and change with everything went on with this past year, it really boils down to a team effort. And I really want to talk about first my coaches who, in my mind, just stepped forward, never complained, never uttered a word from a standpoint of whatever they needed to do to get our kids out on the athletic fields and participating. They did. The support of the parents and everything that we did was just simply outstanding. The understanding that things were going to be different, the understanding that things were going to constantly change. They worked with us on that, and that was huge. But the biggest party involved in everything that we did was our kids, and our kids were truly remarkable, going all the way back to last spring when we first had to shut things down. I personally feel I have learned a lot from our kids. I think their strength of character, the way that they have handled everything that they'd had to handle and deal with in the past year has been simply remarkable. So my hat's off to everybody on that team, coaches, parents, and our student athletes. A little bit about our participation numbers for this year. I've given those in the report. They're not quite as high as our participation numbers were the previous couple of years, but when you look at everything that's been going on, those numbers are still remarkably high, and a good percentage of our student population here at the school is represented. The games that we played this year, the report on that, obviously those numbers are down a little bit. We were a full intramurals program for the fall season. But then we did have an added season with the fall 2 season, playing football and volleyball in the months of February and March. So you put it all together, and our participation numbers were really pretty remarkable when you take a look at it and see everything that was going on, and the number of contests that we were able to play in, and the number of times that we were able to get our athletes on the playing field was obviously a huge positive. And I think for anybody that was able to see these kids out on those fields participating, whether it was in our intramural programs in the fall, in the gyms or on the ice in the winter months, or back out on the fields in the fall 2 season, spring season, what you saw was a lot of young student athletes that were truly having a great time, being able to do something that they love, to get some good, healthy activity and be out there participating in something with their classmates and peers. Successes for this year, and hard to believe, but in a COVID year, we still had a number of our teams that really came up with some pretty remarkable performances. Our swim team, which is just a constant, Coach Pignato does a great job with that program, even going into a season where they used nothing but virtual meets. They still went undefeated in league participation, and they still captured league titles. They were able to participate at the state level by taking what the state did was took the numbers from the different league meets that were run throughout the course of the year. They posted those to create state times, and you'll see in the report that we had quite a few of our kids that achieved some pretty good numbers from a state level. Boys ice hockey was another team that won a league championship. No state tournament play for any other winter sport other than swimming from who was competing from a virtual standpoint. All the other teams, there was no state tournament level play. The league created its own league tournament which our teams all participated in, and the boys ice hockey team was one that was able to win that league championship. Some other notables, girls volleyball team in the fall 2 season captured the first ever league championship for Nantucket High School. And going back to the winter season, our girls ice hockey team came up with the first victory for that program in its short-term history, which was a 5-4 win on the island of Martha's Vineyard, which was something that our kids coaches in that program were obviously very, very excited about. As we've done in past seasons, even in the year of COVID, we track, monitored, and made sure that we recognize the academic achievements of our student athletes. Most of our awards have all been done virtually, but we have been able to post those academic awards right along with everything else. In putting all this into play and making all this work, there's an awful lot of people that really need to be thanked. I already mentioned the team of coaches, student athletes, and parents, but there are a lot of people behind the scenes that do an awful lot to make things happen. I'm just going to mention quickly a few of those. Are the people that run our travel venues, Highline, Steamship, our busing lines, really do an incredible job. And you don't know all the inner workings that it takes in order to make things happen when you get into a COVID year. There are a lot more things that we had to put in place to make sure that we had protocols that were going to keep our kids safe when they were traveling. The Highline and the Steamship were great from a standpoint of accommodating that. They worked hard for our teams to be able to board the vessels first, have their own isolated areas where they sat. And every time we went down to travel, we were greeted by a Highline representative. We went on the boats. There was somebody there to show us exactly where we were seating. And I think it created a great comfort level for not only our kids, but for their parents as they travel throughout the season. Obviously that continued through the winter months and into the spring. 3 organizations that are very, very beneficial to us: the Nantucket Community Ice Rink, the Great Harbor Yacht and Tennis Club, and Myacomic Golf Course. Without those venues, we can't run certain sports. And again, with COVID going on this year, the ice rink had to have certain protocols that they kept in place. And they did a great job from a standpoint when our kids were practicing or playing there. They had a setup that really worked terrific, like clockwork. And we were able to roll teams in and out of there, whether practicing or playing, without having to worry about overcrowding or worrying about spreading any virus. Want to talk about my office mates, Travis Lombardi, my administrative assistant, and Matthew Hunt, our athletic trainer, were key people from day one. With the protocols we set up, we wanted to have somebody supervising and watching every practice, every game that we ran. So we had to set up a schedule where we had more people helping us so that we could cover everything that we did. Both Travis and Matt stepped up, put in the time that we needed to make sure that we were checking our athletes in properly, making sure that they were healthy, making sure that they were safe with each and every practice and game. We brought in Jana Duart, who was a 4th person that we used, and Jana was terrific from standpoint of helping with both our winter and spring programs. Without those people in place, nothing that we did would have been possible. And with that, I'm going to just open things up to any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Chris. Steve, I see your hand up. Thank you.
You can see us. That's great. Chris, you know that we can't thank you enough for what you've done. But I personally have to thank you for something you've done for me. When I first moved to Nantucket to teach at CBS in the last century, I thought we had enough sports. And for years thereafter, I really didn't think we needed to keep adding sports. But you have turned it around in such a way with meeting the needs and desires of kids in so many different sports that I just am in favor of everything we're doing now. I think it's great for the kids. And I can't believe there's another school system anywhere in Massachusetts or the country that has as many different sports for such a small school as this one. And in large part, that's due to you, and I thank you for that.
So thank you. I think that falls into the category. I mean, one of the goals that I had when I took this job back in 2008 was to try and increase the enrollment that we had in our athletic programs. And obviously those numbers have come up considerably, and adding the programs that we've added have been a contributing factor in that. And it's just great to see the amount of participation that we do have. So thank you, Steve.
Jen, Jen, please.
I just want to echo what Steve has to say, and we can't, words cannot express how grateful our students, our community, you have just been such an amazing director, leader, and inspiration for our students. And I really appreciate how proactive you've been, getting as many students to participate in as many different sports as possible and broadening their horizons. And just words cannot express how grateful I am. And I hope that you continue coaching, as you said, you're considering. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Ditto from me. I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I just thought I'd save you a step. I met Coach Maury some while back. I want to say he's been a strong constant in my family's life, and he advocates for the students as well as for the parents. And I think that's a rare find. So I want to thank you, Chris. We're going to miss you for sure.
Thank you, Zana.
Thank you, Zana. Yes, I think my co-committee members have said it all, Chris. You are going to be a tough pair of shoes to fill, and I'm excited for Travis to step in, but you will also sorely be missed. It might be my sound or hearing, I may not have heard you clearly, but did you also recognize your wife, Mrs. Morris, put in over the many
That's coming, Pauline, but thank you for the reminder.
Okay, just saying. Thank you so much, Chris. And I'm really glad to know that you are. Okay. Hey, Chris, did you want to say something else?
I did. Is that okay? Because now you've kind of put me on the spot. Making the decision to retire was a tough one. And the biggest reason it was a tough one because there are aspects of this job that I absolutely love. And the key ingredient is our kids. And the thing that I know that I'm going to miss the most is the day-to-day interaction with our students and our student athletes. We really are very, very fortunate to have an amazing group of kids here, right straight across the board. I said it in the statement that I put out when I thought I wasn't going to be here, and I've said it a number of times. I always quote it as, it really should be about the kids. It always should be about the kids. And that's something that I will always carry. I am going to miss that day-to-day interaction with all of them. Like I say, it was a tough decision, but it was the right decision for me at this point. And Mrs. Morey helped to convince me of that. Mrs. Morey is my partner and my soulmate. And in this job, she has been my right arm more often than she probably should have been. But she's a terrific partner. She respects what I do. She sees how I value what I do, and plain and simple, everything that we've been able to accomplish over the past 13 years, I couldn't have done, or we couldn't have done any of it without her support there. So yes, Pauline, I do want to make sure that I mention her.
Thank you.
Just imparting real quick, I want to just say to you guys, thank you very much for your support. In the 13 years that I've been here, the school committee has always been very supportive, not just of me as the athletic director, but of everything that we have tried to do with our athletic programs and everything to do with our kids. So thank you guys for your support.
Thank you.
Chris. Best of luck.
I can't believe you forgot your wife.
Okay, next on the agenda is superintendent evaluation. And this is an annual evaluation. And I will just remind everybody that the superintendent's position is the only position to be evaluated publicly. In the past several years, we have invited the administrative team to do an evaluation of the superintendent, collected the evaluations and used those in part with our own individual evaluations. School committee submits them to the chair. And in this case, Dr. Lepre and myself went through and put together the summary that I will read for tonight's committee meeting. And I will be doing this, well, in summary. Rated has progress towards goals, which for this year were professional practice goals, student learning goals, and district improvement goals. And Dr. Hallett received significant progress on all of those. I will tell you as we go through, you will see that there is a constant theme here. The fact that we were even asked to evaluate the superintendent in this year seems extremely unfair, as I'm sure the teachers felt on their evaluations and the administrators felt on theirs. This has been a year like no, or whatever we set out together as a school system with individual goals and district goals. The fact that we have come through as well as we have is to be commended to everybody across the district. So I'd like everybody to keep that in mind as we go through this evaluation. Dr. Hallett had performance standards, which involved with instructional leadership, management and operations, and family and community engagement, of which she received proficient on all three of those. On the full standard was improvement and proficient. The end of the summative evaluation was overall proficient in that area. And then goal 1 was effective entry and direction. And Dr. Hallett received some progress and significant progress on that goal. Goal 2 was maintaining momentum during transition. Dr. Hallett received significant progress. New super received needs improvement and some progress, or significant progress, sorry. Sorry, my computer just, some progress and significant progress. We have standard under curriculum, there was needs improvement and proficient. Under instruction, there was needs improvement. Under assessment, it was proficient. Under evaluation, it was proficient. And under data-informed decision-making was proficient. And the overall rating for standard 1 under instructional leadership was proficient. I now will read part of the narratives, which was a collection of our evaluations. This is a difficult as the world navigated through the COVID pandemic. The leadership Beth demonstrated was lost in the scattered nature of the education we provided. It is extremely difficult to really evaluate the quality of the results. We recognize with all that COVID required from everyone that this is a tough year to truly assess. Although it is evident there is a lack of acceptable progress for students of diverse needs. We have great need for curriculum and instruction improvements. Although due to the remote learning, we saw an increase in collaboration across subject teachers. Due to the need for so much time to focus on remote learning and the development of detailed protocol, the committee was unable to truly get a cross-section of all that was happening with our instruction. We recognize the establishment of playlists and new units of study. However, with meeting time limited and multiple needs to address, we lost time to reflect on new instructional practices. Efforts showing effective and rigorous standard-based units of instruction consisting of well-structured lessons with measurable outcomes is an area we need to continue to work on. It is important that we remain steadfast with high expectations regarding content and quality of effort and work, engagement of all students, and personalizing to accommodate diverse learning styles, needs, interests, and levels of readiness. Rollouts of Schoology and map testing in a stressful situation. It is extremely important to have a shared vision while adopting new tools. All in all, some great work was completed this year. However, we have room to grow. Dr. Hallett remains strong in her leadership while developing a new team under extremely unusual circumstances as new superintendent. Standard environment, Dr. Hallett received proficient. Human resource management and development, proficient. Scheduling and management information systems, proficient. Law, ethics and policies, proficient. Fiscal systems, proficient and excellence. Overall ratings for management and operations, for balancing the fears and needs of staff and families in order to continue educating our students. She worked to develop and execute effective plans and procedures to allow for safe return to in-person learning. We have had several key positions open in the district that Dr. Hallett has demonstrated a cohesive approach to recruitment, hiring, development, and career growth. It is evident that Dr. Hallett supports, respects, and trusts her leadership team and staff members and fosters the opportunity for career growth for all. Despite Dr. Hallett's overwhelming schedule during a year of navigating COVID, she worked with the policy subcommittee to ensure that our district's policies were current, which is Dr. Hallett arranges regular budget updates for the school committee. Collaboratively, Dr. Hallett built a budget to support our district's vision. However, due to the setbacks caused by COVID, it is imperative to plan for an increase of academic and social and emotional support. Standard 3 is under family and community engagement. Under engagement, Dr. Hallett was proficient and excellence. Communication, proficient and excellence. Family concerns, proficient. Overall rating for Standard 3 family and community engagement, proficient and excellence. Dr. Hallett has shown collaboration with her staff, family, and community at large while making decisions for what is best interest of our students. Culturally proficient conversations with all. She is sensitive to family concerns and addresses them in an equitable manner. Overall, Dr. Hallett does a great job making herself available to parents, staff, students, and the general public. Given the times and what Dr. Hallett has had to contend with, she has done an amazing job. Standard 4, professional culture. Under commitment to high standards, needs improvement and proficient. Cultural proficiency, proficient and excellence. Communication, proficient. Continuous learning, proficient. Shared vision, needs improvement and proficient. Managing conflict, needs improvement and proficient. Overall rating for standard 4, professional culture, needs improvement and proficient. Dr. Hallett is completing her first year as a superintendent. She has worked tirelessly during an extremely challenging time to overcome the difficulties that encompassed educating our students during a pandemic. We would like to see Dr. Hallett build confidence by listening to her constituents and then make her decisions based on what she feels is in the best interest of our district. To reiterate the importance of a shared vision, it is necessary for all constituents to collaborate. We are fortunate to have Dr. Hallett, as she is an intelligent and thoughtful leader, and she will continue to gain the respect and confidence of others if everyone understands that she is the one making the ultimate decisions for the district. There is insufficiency of evidence of fostering a shared commitment to high standards with high achievement expectations for all. Data indicates that not every student is prepared to succeed in secondary education. Overall, Dr. Hallett has done a tremendous job at circumstances. It is evident that with her dedication and commitment to our district, she will continue to grow in her role as superintendent of the Nantucket Public Schools. And it is my pleasure to thank you, Dr. Hallett, for all that you have done this year. And I think I can speak for everybody here to say that we truly hope that we do not repeat next year, this year, next year, and that we have a much smoother path for everybody involved.
Thank you very much, Pauline.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to committee discussions and votes to be taken is the discussion of the vacancy candidate and recommendations. As we know, we held interviews last week to 2 candidates, and tonight the purpose for our conversation and vote is to deliberate on those interviews, and then we will come to a vote for our recommendation to fill Zona Butler's seat. So Steve, I'd like to start with you first, and you can start with our first candidate we interviewed, or second, however you would like to do that. Please.
Actually, excuse me, Madam Chairman, if I may, in the interest of efficiency and in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, I'd like to make a motion for a recommendation, which, if then seconded, would allow for that discussion. So I move that this committee recommend to the select board the appointment of, I never knew his name was Anthony Rocky Fox, to fill the 1 year coming up of Ms. Butler's vacancy. As I said, if there's a second, then we can discuss.
I second.
May I have a second, please? Thank you. Okay, open it up for discussion. Steve, it's your motion. Would you like to start, please?
I'll be happy to. I really appreciate Joe's interest, but I had issues with the website he depended on for his thoughts about our sports. I went and looked at the website. I don't know where to look when we're doing this. I went to the website, I dug through it. There was no data available, no evidence to back up some of the things that he said. for example, about sports. And I think we've heard tonight, and I've seen over the last 28 years, how in-depth our sports programs are. There's no question, he's absolutely right. We have areas of academics that we need to work on. But I feel as if Rocky is more in tune with the community. He came off well in his answers to our questions. And so that's the way I would go.
Jen?
I support Rocky Fox for this vacant seat. From my perspective, it's a very short term. We're looking at 9 or 10 months in this position, and he has been actively involved in our district for a very long time. And I feel that right there, he can start off, running while knowing, I think, the board members, staff members, administrators. It's just evident he's been really involved in our district for quite some time. And having that experience and having a student in the school as well, a child in the school, I think is going to be essential to this seat, considering it's such a short term. So I recommend and support Rocky Fox for this position. Thank you.
Thank you. Zona?
When I thought about resigning my position, one of the thoughts that crossed my mind was, I don't want to leave the school committee high and dry. So I set out to solicit people who I thought would be interested and interesting and bring something new and different to the table. I think it's important that that person and individual has their finger on the pulse of the school and the community at whole. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised and pleased when Mr. Fox stepped into it and actually applied. So I do fully back him up. I like what he had to say, his thoughts and his concerns, and where he helps out, his heart is in it. And you do need a little heart. You need some, there's some tough decisions that have to be made, but I think a big part of it is you have to buy into it with your whole heart. And I feel like he does that. So he has my support as well, if it counts.
Thank you. Of course it does. I appreciated Mr. Plandowski's application and his letter. I think he is somebody that is looking to engage in the community where he's living. And as he said, he has the time and the interest. I too was a bit confused in where the research had come from. And so I would like to follow up with Mr. Plandowski and direct him to the DESE sites, because I think that is a more accurate than the niche site that he had found. But I certainly am thankful to him and appreciate his willingness to jump in and do some work with us. And, I'm wondering if there is an opportunity for him in another, in a committee or some work that we're doing through our schools. So I will speak to the superintendent and to Mrs. O'Connor to see if that opportunity is available. I too would say that my vote or support would go to Mr. Fox. I've known a community-minded individual, and I think that he has the experience, losing both Zona and Jen, and potentially Steve, maybe not, but even just if we lose Jen and Zona, we're losing some continuity and history. And I think having somebody come in who is already well-versed in our district would be the many reasons. And quite honestly, with the diversity in our schools, we need to start looking like our student body, not only on our committee, but also in our hiring of our teachers. Mr. Fox helps us. He said in his interview, you should have people on your board that look like me and look like the students. So my support would go to Mr. Fox as well.
Then,
So
Madam
at
Chairman,
this point, I will ask you, we've had, okay. I do need a roll call. So Zona, may I please have your vote?
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Steve,
Aye.
thank you, and Pauline, aye. Thank you, everyone. And Logan, would you please make sure that we send a letter out to Mr. Plendowski, thanking him for his application? And I will discuss this with Dr. Hallett to see, thank you. And welcome, Mr. Fox. I know we will be putting this recommendation to the select board. And I believe if we can get on their schedule, it will be for June 23rd. Thank you, everyone. Moving forward down for the votes, may I have a motion, please, to vote to approve the Facilities and Grounds Collective Bargaining Agreement for 2021 to 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Jen, may I have your vote?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Zona?
Aye.
Thank you. Pauline, aye. Thank you. May I have a vote approval for the donation to the Nantucket Community School from Sconset Union Chapel for the Summer Boost Program for $3,000? May I have approval?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Jen, may I have your vote?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And Zona?
Aye.
Thank you. Pauline, aye. May I have a vote to approve the Evelyn McLaughlin and Miriam Condon scholarships for 2021?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Jen, may I have your vote?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Zona?
Aye.
Thank you. And Pauline, aye. Please may I have approval for the meeting minutes of 2021, June 1st?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Jen, may I have your vote?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Zona?
Aye.
Thank you. And Pauline, aye. May I have a vote for the transfers and invoices, please?
So moved.
Second. My last words.
Zona, may I have your vote?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, subcommittee discussions. Anybody have anything for the subcommittees? Not seeing anybody.
Yes, you are,
Steve,
Madam Chairman.
please.
Chairperson, I just wanted to repeat, I think what I said at our last meeting, that the custodian negotiations went as smoothly as they did because of Diane's work. She worked up the spreadsheet, she knew the numbers, she talked and researched other departments in the town. One of our biggest concerns was being competitive with other positions in the town. And she developed that information and did a great job, and it's all credit to her that we have the agreement that we have.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I would just like to mention, actually, we sat in, Zona and Steve and I, so we didn't get to comment or discuss, but we sat in on the behavior health group that is run by Deborah Gately. And again, some great work that is being done on that group. And I know that they hope to have more community members for future meetings. But there was a lot of talk around the behavior health and the needs and the social and emotional learning for our students as they return back to school. So I know they're on it, and it's comforting to know that we've got such a strong team in our school with our community members. So at this point, I know we don't have Amanda Mack with us because she's graduated. And before we get on to the next agenda, sadly, Zona and Jen, this is your last meeting with us. And so I just would like to take this opportunity in saying thank you to both of you for our students and for our school district. And I think you both deserve a great round of applause, and I hope you get some rest. But you've made my life a lot easier being on school committee, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Can I have to say a few words? I want to say you are an awesome community of teachers, parents, administrators. What a community. Keep supporting each other, keep loving each other. And, you know, the possibilities are endless. We can do this. We can bring this community and the scores up and all of that wonderful stuff. We're on our way. We have some great staff. I know we lost some and we got to replace some, but there's a great momentum going and a lot of strong, good people. I look around and I think about my daughter who just recently graduated from college and how she wanted to reach all the way back to thank her high school teachers, her 6th grade teachers, her 5th grade teachers for helping her succeed to where she is today. That means something. So don't stop. Don't grow tired. I know it's easier said than done, but you guys are awesome. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of that.
And I just echo everything that Zona said. And I also want to really, really thank the community members who have trusted me for the last 3 terms, 9 years of being on school committee, trusted me to do my best for our students and our school district. So thank you to those who have supported me along the way. And thank you to all of you for your hard work and your dedication.
Thank you, Zona, and thank you, Jen. As we look onto Horizon, I know we don't have a set date. Mrs. O'Connor, is that correct? Is it, do we know yet if we will be meeting July 6th? I don't know if you have a microphone, do you?
I can share. It is the assumption that we will meet on July 6th.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, may I ask, will there be, and I use the word loosely, will we be having an organization meeting prior to that? Now that we're meeting in person.
We will.
It's easier to schedule.
So we will have an organization meeting. We'll have an organization meeting. We have to wait until the select board has their meeting and Mr. Fox hopefully is then becomes part of the committee, and then he will have to be sworn in. And then I believe we can hold with a full 5-person board the reorganization. So yes, we will absolutely have the reorg before the July meeting.
Good
That
thing.
answer your question, Steve? Okay. Yeah, terrific. All right, anybody else have any comments? I do want to point out to you, it's 2 minutes under an hour. So I wanted to make your last meetings good and quick. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved. Second.
That's Steve.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Gotta roll call it.
Jesus, Steve.
Thank you. Steve,
Aye.
Jen,
Aye.
and Zona.
Aye. Yay.
Thank you, Pauline. Thank you, everyone, and thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.